working classes increase. One is increased wages. But what else happens? What happened? Yes, Jason?
Credit.
Credit. This country is a flood with credit. And with credit becomes debt. This country is flooded with debt. That's been, we might say there's been an overproduction of what? This crisis is all about the overproduction of bad debt, of debt. Eventually, basically there was all these mortgages, basically founded on credit, on loans, bad loans. It's overproduction of debt. You could also see, just think about this. What happened in the situation in subprime mortgage system? What was actually happening was essentially people were being given loans, mortgages, that they couldn't really afford in order to boost what? Profit, but also to boost a particular industry, to boost production in the housing sector, in construction. So in a sense, basically, people were being given loans in order to purchase things, which is another way of counteracting these crises of overproduction. Crises of overproduction, or the tendency to overproduction, one could argue, is inherent in the capitalism in which we live. And capitalists are continually trying to invent new ways of absorbing the extra surplus. Yes. In the New Deal, what did they do? In the Depression era, what did they do in order to create more demand? Anybody remember? You weren't there probably. Simeon, Neil.
I was going to say the government's capped production, created silos.
Yes, they capped it, but what did they also do? They created jobs, right? Yes. That's right, they created jobs for people. So another way of sort of offsetting this crisis of overproduction. So what is being under-theorized? What is being under-theorized here is what, Simeon?
The role of the state.
Oh, the role of the state. Very good. That the state is such an intelligent animal. It's such an incredibly intelligent animal that it figures out what is necessary for capitalism to survive. And funnily enough, we see it before us over the last week, but it has a long history of state intervention that counters the crises of overproduction. Right. The state is continually involved in boosting, in a sense, demand, consumer power, creating the foundations for credit, jobs, to offset the crises of overproduction. And the trouble is, what has happened over the last decade and 2 decades? What has the state been doing? The state has precisely not been doing what it should be doing, namely countering the crisis of overproduction. And that's why we're in the mess we're in at the moment, because the state has been taking the position of standing outside production, standing outside the economy, and thinking that the economy can regulate itself. That's what deregulation is all about. But in fact, we know from history that the state must get involved in this process of regulating the economy, like it or not. Yes. So, Marx and Engels have no theory of transition. They have a bad theory of class struggle, and as we will see, they have an undeveloped theory of the state. An undeveloped theory of the state. And we will look at the class struggle in a minute, and then the theory of the state. We'll see what Marx and Engels actually say about it. But before we get there, I want to give you my punchline. Competitive capitalism. Okay, leads to crises of overproduction. Leads to class struggle. Okay. And then leads to what? Ha-ha. Well, we know it doesn't lead to communism. So what does it lead to? Yes, absolutely, Tracy. It leads to capitalism. Brilliant. 3 B's. Bloody brilliant. But what sort of capitalism? Is it that same competitive capitalism, Kristen?
Is it imperfect competitive?
Well, it's imperfect competitive capitalism. Okay, we're getting hot, very hot. Imperfect competitive capitalism. What else might we call this capitalism here? Very good. You, Monica, by any chance? Oh, blimey. You are then Rachel. Yeah. You always sit together at least. That's good. Rachel.
I was going to say regulated.
Very good. Imperfect competition capitalism, regulated capitalism, but regulated by? Governed by the state, yes, very good. So I think as near as we'll get, I'm actually going to call it organized capitalism. But regulated will be just as good. So that's the real problem. Marx and Engels thought what? Marx and Engels thought that the end of competitive capitalism was the end of what? All capitalism. And lo and behold, it was only the end of one form of capitalism, competitive capitalism. And in its place emerged something we can call organized capitalism. Regulated capitalism. Why? Because of the state. The state organizes the relations among capitalists and organizes the relationship between capital and labor. The state is everywhere. And if you think that the state should be nowhere, then you're going to be in deep trouble, as we are today. As the whole world is today. So we can expect, you see what happened is that there was this attempt to go to what? From organized capitalism over the last 20 years. An attempt to go where, Matthew? To go back in history, to go back down here. That was the problem. That was the problem. They attempted to go, and they did. They went to competitive capitalism. But as you see, it's very problematic. And so they're going to have to swing back to organized capitalism. And they're doing it. They, the state, the representatives in the state are doing it whether they like it or not. Yes, Matthew?
There's one thing I wanted to ask about the competitive capitalism. I feel like Marx is saying capitalists compete. And he's assuming, and what I was reading, and I can look at the page in a second, but it seems like he's assuming that things only get cheaper by economies of scale. And so I was just wondering what in that line falls out of I feel like the foundation is, the foundation of competitive capitalism is self-limiting, and there's only one way of viewing the competition.
Well, you can come and talk to me, but my own personal view is that their theory of competitive capitalism was excellent.
Okay.
Was it excellent? Brilliant. I would give them 4 Bs, not even 3 Bs, okay? I mean, it's brilliant. Just that they couldn't figure out there was another form of capitalism coming afterwards. I think there are nuances not quite right, but they had it more or less right. They just made one poor, pathetic mistake. And they thought that competitive capitalism was the end of capitalism, but it was a new form of capitalism came in its place. They thought there's concentration of capital, and the state assuming state's ownership of the means of production. That meant that capitalism was its last legs, its last gasp. The last gasp is what Engels thought he was talking about. He was just actually talking about the first gasp of a new form of capitalism, not the last gasp of capitalism. So it's a small error, but it's huge. It's huge. We've been living with it ever since. Yes, okay, very good. Any questions? Yeah.
It kind of does go with their theory because the state does the bidding of the capitalist class. So wouldn't this mean that they're doing the bidding so that they can control the capitalist system?
Brilliant. You see, you're developing Marx's theory of the state beyond Marx. That puts you in a quintuplet B. Yes. Yes. What's right? The state does what? Repeat it for everybody. What's your name? Cadet.
Yes. So the state does the bidding of the dominant class. So this is their theory because this is what conceiving the capitalist.
The state, well, does it go with the dominant class? The state is doing what? It's preserving capitalism. But it doesn't care about individual capitalists. And it doesn't care even about the capitalist class. It goes against the capitalist class sometimes. It introduces factory acts. The capitalists don't like factory acts. They don't like reduction of the length of the working day. But the state knows better. It wants to keep capitalism as a system going. The state is very brainy. Very brainy. Yes, a mystery. We'll talk about that. Why the state is able to do what it does, but that's exactly right. It is protecting capitalism against, as we'll see in the quotes from Engels, capitalism against whom? Against capitalists and against workers. Capitalists have a tendency to destroy capitalism. Why? Why? How is it that capitalists, they can't see beyond their nose? Yes. Yes, Katie.
Because they're greedy.
They're greedy. Now we come to it. They're greedy. They pursue, not greedy, it's supposed to be more specific. They pursue profit, and that's all that counts. And if they pursue profit willy-nilly, they will drive the system to its end. And the state, therefore, so in a sense, protects the working class against capitalists, protects capitalism against capitalists. Yes, indeed, that is what the state turns out to do. That is indeed, and therefore, as we'll see, Marx and Engels, and you'll see the pages if we don't get to it today. If you look at the pages I gave you to last time, you will see that Marx and Engels write that. They recognize that, but they don't theorize. They don't know how brilliant they're being in their few sentences. They have an undeveloped theory of the state. Yeah. Phew. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. The state exists. You know what he says on page, since you've driven us there, Cadet? We'll start there. Where do Marx and Engels talk about the state in these terms? Page number, come on. Where does Marx and Engels talk about the state in precisely these terms? There's a wonderful quote. Well, about 4 quotes. I gave you them last time, didn't I? I mean, the page numbers. You should have read them. They're very short. You know, 3:30, I'm not going to teach 3:30 again. It's a killer, isn't it? Okay, yes. Kristen.
Aren't you teaching 3:30 next semester?
No, 2:00. I made sure. Oh, you like 3:30. Okay, well, Kristen, if you're wide awake, tell us which the quote is then.
I'm looking for it. I'm not finding it.
Come on, wakey. Where's the quote? Yes. Sunny.
I think 7:13.
7:13. Where on 7:13?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 lines from the bottom of the big paragraph in the middle.
Brilliant. What's the first word?
State interference.
Very good. Not really. It says there, state interference in social relations becomes in one domain after another superfluous and then dies out of itself. The government of person is replaced by the administration of things. What, Sonny, is he talking about there? What is he talking about?
The state goes from
Government of people to the administration of things. What stage of history are we in there? What's he talking about? What part of what Neil? He's talking about communism, not capitalism. So that's not going to do us. That is about the withering away of the state, not the way the state orchestrates capitalism. Where else? Come on. Yes. I see a hand up there. Yes. The bottom of 710. Ooh, yes. Where on there? Where? 710. In any case, with trust or without the official representative capitalist society, the state, is that where you are? Yeah. Will ultimately have to undertake the direction of production. So that is indeed the case that Engels is saying that the state will have to undertake production. The state will have to undertake production. But we're trying to look for some passages about what the state's function is, what its purpose is. Indeed, one thing one might say is to take a production, but there are some other passages. Yes, Greg? 7-11. Boy, you're really hovering around 7, 10, and 11 here. 7-11, where are we going here? Why you read it out? 4 lines in the second paragraph on 7-11. Are you there? Everybody. No. This is too important to be mumbling. Come on.
And the modern state again is only the organization that bourgeois society takes on in order to support the external conditions of the capitalist mode of production against the encroachment as well as the workers of individual capitalists.
That's enough. What is he saying there? What is he saying there? Sam? You don't know. All right. You do know. Let me read it out for you again. Listen very carefully, Sam. I know I didn't say you were probably somewhere else. Yeah, all right. And the modern state, again, is only the organization that bourgeois society takes on in order to support the external conditions of the capitalist mode of production against the encroachments as well of the workers as of individual capitalists. So the state defends capitalism against whom and whom?
Against the proletariat.
Right. So in what sense does the state defend capitalism against the proletariat? In what sense does the state defend capitalism against the proletariat? Yes, Jason?
Gives them concessions to kind of cool down.
Yes, so the problem about the working class is that it has a tendency to organize itself and become revolutionary. And therefore the state actually wants to cool them out. Is that what you meant? Cool them out? Make concessions, contain them, organize their struggles within limits. And so that's all right. So the state, in a sense, wants to make concessions to the working class. But what's it worried about vis-a-vis the capitalists? What's the worry about capitalists? Why does the state have to defend capitalism against capitalists? Come on. Yes, Rosa.
Competition makes that develops a crisis of overproduction.
Right. But competition is, what does competition involve? What does competition involve? It involves people competing with one another, capitalists competing with one another, and what happens as a result of that?
Wages go down.
Right. So capitalists don't see beyond their nose. They are themselves destroying the system. So in a sense you have to act against the capitalist tendency to pursue profit at all costs. Yes. So you have to defend, these banks, Wall Street. State has to defend the world society, global society, from the obsessive competitiveness of banks who compete to extend bad debt to the people and drive capitalism to crisis. The state has to defend nations, this one and others, from such activities. Yes, so there is a nice quote where Engels says that basically the state exists to, Claudette, actually says what you said, basically defends capitalism against capitalists and workers. Yes, Juliana. You mean why it goes over here?
Yeah, is it that the state increasingly became the capitalist, so profit is deregulated, or is it that these crises will overproduction and somehow right profit? Because if the state is a smart entity that's preserving capitalism, why would it need it?
BB, why does the state want to go back in history? Why does the state actually withdraw? It withdraws from the regulation of capital and relation between capital and labour. Why does it retreat? I think that's a brilliant question, to which I don't have an answer. I really don't. Perhaps has anybody got any ideas why? Simeon!
They made a lot of money on this.
Who's they? Who's they?
Those who invested in this whole real estate movement, deregulation. It was huge. The same reason why they combined.
So what? Okay. What are you assuming? Very good, Simeon. What are you assuming? You're assuming that the capitalist class somehow had levers in the state?
Yes, of course.
Oh, yes, of course. So in a sense you think the state is sort of an instrument of the capitalist class. Oh, you're going to give me a passage? Very good, Simeon.
Very next quote on the same page.
Uh-huh.
The modern state, no matter what its form, is essentially a capitalist machine. The state of the capitalist, the ideal personification of the total national capital.
Yeah.